Although I was born in Pennsylvania and raised in New Jersey, and although I have lived most of my life in New Mexico, I have always felt more like a citizen of the world than just a citizen of the United States. I suppose I went to Iraq as an apologist. I went to meet the Iraqi people and to be a representative for all the people in this country who had no animosity towards the Iraqi people, who didn't understand war, and who empathized, as I did, with those who suffered. I went to see what it was like. I was curious and naive. I went with a small group of women from around the world, South Africa, India, Singapore, to witness and to report on the status of the lives of women and children under the U.S. occupation. That was the stated objective of the Code Pink trip. I saw a lot in 10 days. Our hosts were members of Occupation Watch, an Iraqi peace organization. They arranged for vans and drivers to pick us up at the airport in Amman and to drive us to Baghdad across miles and miles of Jordanian and Iraqi desert and through the dangerous Sunni Triangle. It was not an uneventful journey. One of our 3 vans was forced off the road by a speeding black Mercedes. The women were robbed at gunpoint. Money, cameras, equipment, passports. That was 2 years ago. Today, the bandits, Alibaba they call them, would be far more brutal. After 14 grueling hours on the road, we finally made it to the small hotel in downtown Baghdad. Our hosts were ready and eager to take us anywhere and everywhere. In groups of 3 and 4, we went to mosques and to the looted museum and to the Green Zone, where we met with one of the 2 women members of the Interim Governing Council. We visited neighborhoods and we were welcomed into homes. We visited schools and hospitals and relocation camps. We watched a clown performance at a home for homeless children, sponsored by some big-hearted Brits. We marched down a Baghdad boulevard in solidarity with Iraqi women who were seeking more freedom and participation in the political process. One Sunday afternoon, 2 of us played dominoes with our guides at a small outdoor cafe, and an angry woman on the street ranted hatefully about the United States and its infidels. She spat at us. At a gathering of citizens in the dining room of our hotel, we asked one English-speaking man which he preferred, life under the Saddam Hussein regime or life now under the United States occupation. He replied, "In our country, we have a saying, same donkey, different blanket." Of all the things I saw and heard and thought and did, of all the people I met, I was most deeply moved by a story of loss that one Iraqi woman shared with us. On the 2nd day of our visit, we were taken to a modest neighborhood not far from our hotel. All we knew was that we were to meet a woman who had recently lost family members in the occupation. As we filed through a small patio and into a living room, a young girl greeted us and kissed each of us on both cheeks. Inside, Anwar, an abaya-clad woman, stood holding a 6-month-old baby boy. I was a new grandmother, and instinctively I held out my arms, and the little curly-haired baby came to me. We settled on upholstered bancos on 2 sides of the narrow room. A man appeared, an uncle or a brother, with a tray of cool drinks, And as we settled ourselves in that peaceful, welcoming room, Anwar, with the help of our translator guide, began her story. I held her baby while she spoke. Her teenage daughter stood at the end of the room in front of a tall, glass-fronted cabinet filled with family photographs. Anwar spoke in a soft, halting voice, and our translator respected her tone, her cadence. The preceding August, at about 9 o'clock one evening, she and her husband and their 4 children were returning to their home following a dinner with her parents. As they approached their neighborhood, U.S. soldiers drove out of the shadows in trucks or Humvees and forced the family's car to a halt. The soldiers shined searchlights at the car and pointed guns at them. The husband rolled down the car window or opened the car door, that's not clear, and yelled, "Don't shoot, please, we are family." Whereupon the soldiers started shooting. They shot the husband. They shot both sons. One a high school student, the other a young man preparing to enter medical school in a matter of days. They shot the 8-year-old daughter. And then a soldier, a female soldier, reached into the car and took the jewelry from the dying girl. Anwar and her teenage daughter screamed for help. There was none. They died, the husband, the 2 boys, and the 8-year-old girl. I was holding her baby and weeping. We were all weeping. I was holding the baby that had witnessed the massacre from inside his mother's womb. I was holding her curly-haired baby boy, and sitting in her living room where we had received their gracious hospitality, and tears waterfalled down my face and onto my clothes. And the surviving daughter passed around photographs of the family during those days before the bombing, before the occupation. Days in which they sat and stood together smiling. And she said their names. And she passed around x-rays of their bullet-riddled skulls. And I held the beautiful child on my lap, and with the other women in the room, I wept with shame.